Welcome back, everybody. My name's Token D Rock. It's Thursday, February 24th. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Hopefully, you're not too stressed out about what's going on in Ukraine. Thoughts and prayers out to the people in Ukraine dealing with all of this stuff that's going on in their country. It's pretty horrendous, pretty horrific. Not trying to downplay it by any means, but my thoughts and prayers go out to them. They are going through hell, and I hope we can figure out some sort of peaceful resolution to all of this. It's not good what's going on, but onto the market, the total crypto market cap is sitting at $1.62 trillion. Bitcoin did see some volatility last night, did dip below 35K once again. It almost wicked down to roughly a similar zone that it wicked down not too long ago. We'll take a look at that. Ethereum is below 2,500. It went, believe I saw it right above 2,300. BNB is below 350 again. Solana was below $80. Cardano was below 80 cents. Luna was actually rallying yesterday, so it's actually it hasn't been hammered too hard from the price that it just rallied up to yesterday, which I believe was around $63, $64. But yeah, some of these altcoins are still taking a beating. Like Chainlink is $12. I think that's a steal, but enough of that. Taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance is it's at 42.1%. ETH dominance is 18.2%. Taking a look at the bigger picture, I wonder if we're going to see some sort of isosceles, not isosceles, what is it, scaling, something like that, form right here potentially. We'll see how this plays out, but are we still in a downtrend? I think we are because of all the volatility between the Ukraine situation. Still some concerns about COVID and pandemic and stuff like that, which are normal, but are we, and then are we on the brink of a financial collapse? Because some people are saying it's going to happen. No one knows exactly when it's going to happen, but all we need to know is that the the big dogs will know it before we do. So when it's happening, we won't know it's happening until like a few days later, a few weeks later. They'll know about it, and so they will dump accordingly. They'll sell off a bunch of their assets to preserve their wealth and preserve their capital, so they can buy in when all the dust settles, essentially. So, personally, I think these price points right here are definitely in the cards. But looking at a closer view on the hourly chart, we did go test this we got close to testing this $34,000 price line right here, or this line of support, sorry, not price line. And looking at the 1 minute chart, we're going back up to these. We've just bounced off this 36,000 line of support. We'll see if it holds, see if we go up to here, back to where we were, roughly a day ago before the market started dumping upon Russia acting on invading Ukraine, and a lot of explosions happening. Hopping over to that, have explosions have been reported on Thursday in multiple cities in Ukraine, and at least 40 people have been killed, according to an advisor of the Ukrainian president Volodymyr Zelensky. In a televised speech early Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he had ordered a special military operation in Ukraine. Zelensky has since cut diplomatic ties with Russia and has declared martial law. Things aren't looking too good over there, you guys. We will see how NATO will act accordingly. The U.S. did send some more troops over to Eastern Europe. We'll cover that in a second, what you need to know Russian military vehicles were said to have breached the border in the north, south, and east, including from Belarus and Russian occupied Crimea. Four ballistic missiles were launched from Belarus into Ukraine, according to Ukraine's military. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said a massive package of economic sanctions designed to hobble the Russian economy will be defined on Thursday in concert with our allies, and NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg announced a virtual summit for Friday. So things aren't looking too good over there. If I'm going to be honest, will it result into World War III? Personally, I don't think it will happen, but I don't know. I'm an overly optimistic person. I think it's in their best interest to find some sort of peaceful resolution, at least for the time being. Like, I don't think we're on the cusp of World War III. I think Ukraine will fight with Russia, and NATO may supply them with weapons and arms and military funding and stuff like that to bolster their defenses against Russia's invasion. Personally, I don't really know how far the invasion is going, and I'm not going to act like I know how far they're going with it because the thing with the media, you guys, you have to be very careful about consuming too much of it and consuming too much from one or two sources, because ideally you want to have a few media sources that you can go to and you can compare and contrast what they're saying so you can call out the BS from the truth. And the thing is, with especially with war, like, communications and media is really, really muddy, because it's in the country's best interest to, highlight their side as, the good guys. So, and I'm not saying the US is the bad guys or the good guys necessarily. I'm just saying I think that what Russia's doing, it's not okay, but it'll be interesting to see how NATO or the US or any of these countries, including Ukraine, act. And if the media is not being completely honest with what's going on over there exactly, like they're angling things to make one guy look worse than the other, then it can drive public sentiment to want war. And that is ultimately not what we should be doing. We should not want to get to that point. And I think we may be getting to that point if the tensions don't cool off here in the next few weeks. Maybe public opinion may sway and want war, and that's not good for anyone. We don't need to lose more innocent lives over claims of land. I'm not saying anyone in particular is right. I don't know the history behind Ukraine and Russia. I know Russia invaded Crimea back in 2014, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on this situation. As you can see, U.S. deploys forces in response to Putin's Ukraine moves. They moved to Eastern Europe just to bolster NATO's defense against Russia with Ukraine. And it's interesting that, like, they're all tackling on these sanctions, and it's like, well, realize, like, you're kitty cornering them with all these sanctions. Like, don't get me wrong, Russia should back off, but these sanctions are doing more harm than good in the sense that they're directly affecting, like, the country as a whole, which I get it. That's the purpose of it, but the whole point of it is they claim they're standing against authoritarianism, or at least Justin Trudeau is saying, like, right here. Meanwhile, in his own country, he's freezing people's bank accounts and stuff like that. Like, that's not very, you can't really speak to stomping out authoritarianism if you're committing in your own country, with your emergency powers and stuff like that. It's Nayib Bukele is very based. He's the president of El Salvador, if you didn't know or if you weren't aware. But it's very hypocritical, like, just listen to
And
this.
our allies will defend democracy. We are taking these actions today to stand against authoritarianism. The people of Ukraine, like all people, must be free to determine their own future. We will continue working with our international partners to safeguard Ukraine's territorial integrity and prevent further Russian aggression. Future, we will continue working with our must be free to determine their own future.
Free to determine their own future, but if it goes against what the establishment or the status quo wants, it's not happening. You're not free to, you know, go forward in your life to achieve the future you want, via protests or whatever the cause may be. I'm not going to get too political, but here we have Edward Snowden saying governments claiming the authority to freeze people's bank accounts because they want to crush a protest movement is tyrannical and obscene. If you would oppose China or Russia doing it, you must oppose Canada doing it. Very glad CanCivLib exists. Can't agree more with Edward Snowden. So Justin Trudeau revoked his emergency powers, I believe, like yesterday or 2 days ago. But the asterisk to revoking the emergency powers is that the Trudeau government moves to make expanded surveillance powers over financial transactions permanent. And basically, they want to squash out protests that do not serve them. It goes against their interests or whatever they have planned, whatever it may be, like economic reform or something like that. Here in the States, for example, because of the riots and the looting and 2020, along with a lot of peaceful protesting. But then you had the January 6th. The Republicans and the Democrats both agreed that they needed to push through anti-protest policies across the country. So basically, again, it goes back to if what you're pushing is against the establishment by any means, it's or status quo, it's going to be squashed out. And that's the danger of this whole thing we're kind of headed towards with central bank digital currencies, which is actually the focus of today's video. I'm going to let this play for a bit, but this says Canada's banks are perfectly situated to help lead the creation of a federated digital ID system between government and the private sector. The World Economic Forum agrees. This is not some bullshit conspiracy theory, guys. This is like right out in the open. You just have to watch and connect the dots, because how does this play into CBDCs? I'm going to play the clip and let you listen what he has to say, but it's very interesting. Listen to this.
Canada is on the cusp of a revolutionary innovation that will transform the way Canadians authenticate themselves online and protect their identity. Digital ID. All of us are living in a digital world, but we're tethered to an analog model of how we identify ourselves, memorizing countless online passwords, carrying government-issued licenses, plastic cards, and more. Digital ID is a way for Canadians to identify themselves to government, businesses, and each other electronically, with ease and rock-solid security, without the need to present physical documents. One interconnected network. A federated digital ID system developed in collaboration with Canada's best and brightest talent from our banks, telecommunications companies, law enforcement, and government. It would have the power and security to store every Canadian's electronic identity and attributes. And it would unlock countless opportunities for Canadians to verify who they are safely, quickly, and securely, while only revealing the information necessary for each transaction. A fast, easy, and secure way to bank, sign up for government services, renew driver's licenses or health cards, shop, travel, and more. Canada's banks are perfectly situated to help lead the creation of a federated digital ID system between government and the private sector. The World Economic Forum agrees that banks and financial institutions should lead the path forward for digital ID. Banks are highly regulated and trusted. They have advanced cybersecurity and privacy technology, and they have the infrastructure to operate provincially and nationally. Banks are also at the forefront of working with fintech startups who are bringing revolutionary mobile and online products and services to Canadians. Digital ID can help consumers navigate between these apps and programs with trust and confidence, knowing their ID is protected at all times. A federated digital ID approach can also significantly reduce fraud, save taxpayer money, improve regulatory compliance, and make it easier to do business as an owner and as a consumer. In fact, the Canadian Bankers Association just launched a white paper with our recommendations on how to move forward with a federated digital ID framework. I encourage you to read it to learn more.
Okay, so that's that, and then I'm gonna play this.
This is all part of the Great Reset. Well, when he wrote a fucking book called The Great Reset, you're like, hey man, shouldn't you be hiding this?
And in 2017 at Harvard, he's saying, we're going to basically, all of these world leaders will penetrate their cabinets with our young global leaders. He's open. He's open. Blair's open. During the Iraq War, Blair tried to bring in ID cards in Britain. He failed. Now he's back and he's trying to bring in digital ID during COVID. Right? So they're open about it.
So this is going to be this never-ending process to slowly move the goalposts
towards more and more authoritarianism. Checkpoint society. It's all there. They told us this.
People have to realize this, right? This isn't.
So how does this play into the whole CBDC system? Okay, so, well, as countries start to roll out CBDCs across the world, China has rolled out their digital yuan. The US is working on the digital dollar. Russia will probably have a digital ruble. The UK will have a digital pound. There will be a digital euro, stuff like that. As governments start to pay out consumers, say something like, say you fall on hard times and you lose your job and you apply for unemployment, maybe instead of receiving funds in your bank account, you'll get digital dollars in your app, the government run app. And then say you're caught protesting, say in Canada, against the status quo, something that they don't align with, they could essentially stop your account. I mean, they could do it at the bank, but it's just like that much more instantaneous. They can, because the thing you have to realize is a lot of Canadians, because Trudeau started freezing people's bank accounts with his emergency powers. He revoked them recently, but that part of the emergency power still exists. He can freeze people's accounts. They're monitoring people's bank accounts and stuff like crazy over protests and stuff like that. But you have to realize that can be used in the future to be more instantaneous, because people started running to the banks and they don't want that. So a way to prevent that is, okay, well, we'll just have the digital dollar traced to your digital ID. And if we catch you funding a truck or convoy or whatever in another country and that we don't agree with politically, or we don't agree with their point of view, because we demand that they live a particular way, even though a lot of people are demanding a different way of life. It's horrendous. It's pretty dystopian, if you ask me personally. I'm not trying to influence your decision about CBDCs, but that's kind of the possibilities with CBDCs. Like, they can be used in some good ways, in the sense that people can get their funds more quickly, but you just have to, it's like you're on thin ice. You don't want to upset the government by any means, otherwise they might take away your funds or whatever. It's getting crazy. I'm not about it. I'm not about this digital ID system. So you have Canada doing this digital ID. You have Tony Blair doing the digital ID, I believe, in the UK or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's do it right now. See, I should have done this beforehand, but Tony Blair. Yeah, British politician. Yeah. So he tried to implement the digital ID back in the Iraq Afghanistan war. It failed. He couldn't push it through, and now he's trying to bring it back. So um, it's not no bueno in my opinion. You can you're entitled to your opinion. Let me know what you think down below in the comment sections. Are you on board with CBDCs? Do you see the benefits, but also the potential dangers that can be associated with them? You know, like behind the government just seizing your funds in the blink of an eye. You know, no questions asked. You don't even have the opportunity to run in the bank or something like that. Like it's it's pretty scary if you ask me. And the other thing you guys have to realize is like if COVID resurfaces or something like that and lockdowns come back, because to think that lockdowns can't come back or they won't come back at some point in some way, shape, or form, I think that's a little bit ludicrous. I think, we have virus running around the world, and if it mutates a particular way to become a little bit more deadly or something like that, what if lockdowns happen again and then people in particular countries start having a UBI system, and with that comes the CBDCs, and so essentially these people are entirely dependent on the CBDCs that their government pays them out. So they're probably a lot more reluctant to um, protest or donate to a protest of some form that goes against the status quo or the powers that are in charge, what they want, essentially for the country or province, like in Canada, for example. But I don't know what do you guys think? Let me know what you think down below. CBDCs, good or bad? Digital ID, good or bad? Let me know down below. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, what you guys are thinking about all of this, because we're all in this together. My opinion does not matter more than yours. All of our opinions are pretty much equal. So let me know what you think. Do you think Bitcoin's gonna take a dive if Russia continues with the bombardment of Ukrainian cities? Do you think it's overblown? Let me know what you think down below about all of this, down below in the comment section. If you're over on YouTube, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live next. I'm not sure if I will stream tomorrow. We'll see what happens here, but I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Please try and not stress out too much about the news, because it can send you down a dark road. So please don't be fixated on the news. Try and keep your mind occupied with other things. And have a great day, guys. Take care.